Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome to the channel. So this is going to be my very first time doing the mid-year freakout tag. I'm sure it'll be possible for me to find the creators, so I'll link them in the description box down below if they're not there. And you know who started the tag? Please let me know so I can link them. But I think it started like several years ago and I am newish to booktube. I've been here for a year, so I don't know the creators. Anyway, we have so many books to talk about today. Because as per usual with questions, I don't know how to give just one answer. I want to talk about everything, so get settled, get a snack, get a cup of tea if it's not too warm where you are right now. Maybe get an ice cream or a nice just like cold glass of something. And I got my phone with me so we can read the questions out loud. So I think we should get started. How many questions is it? 12 or 13 total? Something like that. Anyway, the first question is, best book you've read so far in 2022? So I wanted to give a bit of like a varied answer to this. I read one that's like massively, or all three books are massively popular. All three books that I want to mention. But the first one on the list is From Look Up With Love. It was just great. Contemporary romance by Mariana Zapata, but like very charming and funny as well. The characters were or had amazing chemistry. It's a workplace romance, like an enemies to lovers on top of it. I love enemies to lovers. I'm a sucker for it. So it's just kind of perfect and I really enjoyed it when I read it. So I chose that as one of my three. Then I got a fantasy romance and that is from Blood and Ash. I've not read the fourth one yet. I do own it, but I haven't read it, but I've read the first three. And if you go into this knowing what to expect, which is the fantasy romance, you might like it. You might. I'm not gonna promise that you will, but you might like it. I enjoyed this immensely. This is everything I want in fantasy romance. It's again an enemies to lovers. We have royals on top of it. We have, or I suppose they're kind of royals. I'm gonna go with royals. At least like leaders. We got supernatural creatures. We have powers. It's just goodness in a book. Yeah, but don't expect a masterpiece going into it. Like, don't expect high fantasy because then you are going to get disappointed. This is not high fantasy. This is fantasy romance first of all, plot second. So, but I really enjoyed it. I gave it a full-on 5 stars. And the last one that I want to mention as well is technically not this one, although, no, let's go with this one. It's fine. Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. So I had read we're going to talk about Throne of Glass later on in this video as well, but I'd read the first 4 before going into this year and had kind of decided to to reread the whole series, but I was gonna do like half and then in the upcoming month I was gonna do the other half and then I got started and I just couldn't put the series down because I love it to bits. It's amazing. This series is like everything. It's very much YA high fantasy kind of vibes. Or I should watch out because the first 4 are YA and then it kind of takes a turn. Just be aware of that. I wouldn't call the rest of the series YA. Most definitely not. But it's just everything. There's so many puzzles to this, so many parts in play, and it's great. Good characters. Powers. Freaking love Selena. She's amazing. We have Faye as well. It's just, there's romance and relationships and family and oh my gosh, everything. And now I want to reread it even though I just read it in February. Please stop yourself. Okay. But that was amazing. I love that. So sad I hadn't read it earlier because I had those books. I'd had the first 5 since like 2016 and got the other 3 at some point last year and then I just never... It's because it's an 8-book series. It's a little bit intimidating going into. But next question. Best sequel you've read so far in 2022? Don't actually think I've read a lot of sequels. I mean, aside from like starting series. So I'm guessing this question means like a sequel to a book that you read last year. And so I have a book that's not gonna be a surprise. I'm sorry. It's House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. But this is not so much like this on its own, but like, how do you... I mean, yeah, I love this book on its own too, but there's so much more to this than just this. So I'm gonna stop myself because I don't want to spoil anything, but my gosh, that ending, I need to read the next one. I need more books from Miss Maas so badly. Like, how dare she? So that was amazing. As someone who's just very into her books, this was everything. And I need the sequel. I need the next one. Yeah, not much more to it. Next question is, a new release you haven't read yet but want to. And oh gosh, where do I start? So for this question, I got 5 answers that we're gonna do very quickly. One of them being Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Have not read it, but there's a sequel coming out, I think at the start of the next year or at the end of this year, and I need to read it because it seems like a lot of people are really, really loving this book. And I am one of the masses, so one with the masses. I'm basic when it comes to book opinions. Well, mostly, not always. But I'm sure I'll love it because everyone else seems to, so yeah. Then we also have This Woman Kingdom, which I meant to read in like February or March, and I just haven't yet, so that's on me. I'm sorry, but looking forward to reading it. Also have been told to read it very recently, so I should probably get around to doing that. I also have A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, which is another one that I've heard very, very lovely things about. And another one that I really want to read. It's an adult fantasy, but it's like, I think it's set in Scotland, or at least a place that looks like Scotland. So it's a little bit, I don't necessarily want to say unique in that way, but I don't have a lot of books that are set in places that look like Scotland, so super excited for that. Oh, also, I lived in Scotland for 3.5 years. I should have mentioned that. But that's part of the reason. And also it has to do with music and spirits, and that is so exciting. So, and one book that I was super, super hyped for going into 2022, and I just have not read it yet, that's Blood Sign by Deborah Fillet. I was so excited to be reading this as soon as it got out, and I just haven't put it on one of my TBR lists yet, which is so dumb, but I'm sure that's normal. Like, you hear about books and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna read that right away. That was one of these, or one of those books. This one, to me, is one of those books. And then I just didn't. So now I'm like, it's kind of like in limbo right now. Like, when do I go into it? Like, I don't know, but this is one of those books. And lastly, but this one I received very recently. It came out very recently. However, the sequel, or the second book, it's a trilogy. This is the third one. The second book ended on a cliffhanger that was mean. so mean. So I'm sure that I'm gonna read this very, very soon, and that is The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni. The first 2 books, so good. There's a lot going on in those 2. I'm sure it's gonna be the same for the third one. Constant cliffhangers, constant twists and turns, and I'm gonna be very careful because this is the third one, and I am kind of mixing the first and the second one together in my head. I'm just gonna stop it right here, but looking forward to this. Probably will be reading it next month, hoping at least. But I got it literally like last week, so, or 2 weeks ago. Maybe 2 weeks ago. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Then we have the question, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. My first thought is Babel, which is coming out, I think, either at the end of August or at the start of September, but I'm very, very excited for it. There's also The Dragon's Promise, which is, oh, Babel is by Arv Kwang, by the way. The Dragon's Promise is by Elizabeth Lim. It's the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, which I read last year, and I just adored it. Adored it? Adored it. Shiori is such a charming girl, and somehow for a book that involves not much talking, and as a person who really enjoys dialogue in my books, I still loved it. Like, it was so good. So I'm looking forward to the sequel so we can delve into the world a little bit more and experience whatever's going on with the dragons and stuff, because that's cool. Love dragons. I also have Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco, which is the third book in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. Obviously, I think this is one that is very highly anticipated by a lot of people. I love the first 2. I think I might have loved the sequel a little bit more than the first one, or was it the other way around? I don't remember anymore, but I'm looking forward to the Steam a little bit as well. As far as I've heard, it takes a new adult turn, so, but they also said that about the sequel. So now I'm like, can that statement be trusted? I'm not really sure. And then there's Love on the Brain by Ellie Hazelwood, which I believe is coming out in August. So Ellie Hazelwood wrote The Love Hypothesis, which was another one that was very hyped. Like I said, I have basic book opinions, okay? I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I'm looking forward to the next one, or it's not a sequel. It's a standalone, but I'm hoping for it to have sort of the same vibes, but less Raylo over it, you know? Not that, as someone who hasn't really watched the 3 new Star Wars? Talking is going so well today. Star Wars movies. I didn't really catch up on the Raylo stuff, but his name was Adam in the book, so I'm kind of hoping that there'll be a little bit less of that, less Adam in Love on the Brain. But still has to do with women in STEM, as far as I know. So next question is biggest disappointment so far. So I got 2 books to talk about for this one. The first book is one that I saw constantly pop up on my Goodreads like page, you know, your feed where your friends and whoever you follow, all their reviews and stuff pop up. So I read The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie, which I read it very recently actually. But it's so well loved on Goodreads, and it's an adult contemporary romance. It's very smutty, but it's a mafia romance, and I kind of should have known going into it that I was gonna have a hard time with it just because I don't really like mafia romances. It has something to do with women's roles in that community, at least according to writers, authors, and I just don't like reading about it, so I should have known, but didn't put 2 and 2 together. So all those good reviews that I read on Goodreads, I don't agree with them. Everyone was crushing on the guy in that book so much, and he just scared me. Like, no. Disturbing. The other one that I want to mention as well is Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bechardist. I still don't know how to pronounce their last name, and I'm so sorry, but I still can't really put my finger on why I don't like this book, other than a couple of things such as insta-love, which I just know. I think parts of the synopsis, like, it just the book isn't what the synopsis says it's gonna be, and that's so weird to me. Like, feels like mismarketing, and I just don't like that. I feel like it could have been done better somehow, but also it's a difficult situation to be in with this one. Like, I don't really know what they could have done, to be honest, but didn't like where it went, didn't like the characters, didn't really connect with any of them, unfortunately, so I was a little bit disappointed with this one. Then, the biggest surprise, first off, is a book or a graphic novel that I don't own a copy of, but it's Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I went into this thinking, oh, this is just gonna be like a, I don't know, fluffy kinda, I don't know. I don't really know what I was expecting, but not that. It was so good. It was so cute. It sucked me in, and I've read the first, is it 3 or 4 volumes now? I think it's 4, right? There are 4 covers. Green, purple, yellow. What's the last one? Blue? Oh, there are 2 greens. Oh, no 2 greens. There's an orange one. There we go. So yeah, there are 4 volumes, and I have read them all. You can read them online as well. I really want physical copies just so I can support the series as well, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But you can read them for free online. I don't remember where, but I'm sure that if you search for it on Google, it'll show up. And it's totally legal. It's legit. Alice Oseman is posting them herself on there, so it's not anything iffy or per se, like, you know what I mean. But they were so good. Yes. And then I watched the series as well, and it was so good. It's so cute. I'm so happy that they've gotten renewed for more seasons. I think they got renewed for 2 more seasons, actually, so pretty cool. And then the other one is, surprise, yeah, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because I don't really know what I was expecting going into this, but not this amount of fun. Most definitely not. This was so funny. I love Pippa as a lead character. She's just great. She's really what we would call, she's got bones in her nose, which means that she's very independent and strong, and she's like, she knows what she wants and she goes for it, kind of. And I am looking forward to reading the 2 sequels to this one, also because I want to know where the story is going. You kind of do, it's funny because this is like, aside from Truly Devious, this is very much an introduction into murder mysteries for me, because I don't really read a lot of mystery. And seeing how it works with a trilogy is quite fascinating to me, because you do get questions and answers, but you don't get all the answers, and so you have to, continue with the next ones. I don't know, it's very fascinating to me. I don't know how to explain why it's fascinating, but I'm sure some of you understand, or at least I hope so. Otherwise, that statement just sounded very, very stupid. Then we have favorite new author, whether it's a debut or an author that is new to me. I got 2 authors that are new to me that I've started reading this year, and 1 debut. Because surprisingly, I haven't read a lot of debut this year, but this one is actually worth mentioning to me. So first off though, I want to mention Brandon Sanderson. So I read Skyward. I basically binged this because it's great. It's awesome. Okay. I'm also not a very like sci-fi kind of person. I've not read a lot of it, but this was really good. To me at least. I enjoyed it. Just personal opinions here. Although I think the general consensus is that it's actually a good book. So I'm not completely off. Is my light falling down? Oh, dang it. But I read this so quickly, just enjoyed it. It had a nice flow to it. It's also one of his YA books, so it's a little bit lighter, but somehow, like, there's lots of details to how everything works with their ships and stuff in this book. And it was given to us readers in a way that just never made it boring to read about, which is very fascinating to me. Like, there was a nice flow between explanations and then story, and then we go back to explanations and then story and drama and all that stuff. I don't know, I was thinking about it while reading it because suddenly you get a class, because they go to school. Suddenly you get a class and they have to learn all these things, and we as readers get to learn about the things too. But it was just done in a very nice way so that you never really got bored with it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not good at going to school because I get bored. But this worked. This worked. The other one is Bridget Kemmerer. So I read Defy the Night. This is my first Bridget Kemmerer book, and this is great. So now I'm like, I need to read all her other books. I need Defy the Dawn to, no, that's not what it's called, Defend the Dawn to come out as well, because this book is so good and I will stand by that so hard. Like, I am not changing my opinion. You can say whatever you want to me. This is an awesome book. It's also a Robin Hood retelling, and I think that's great too. So... But really positively surprised me. I liked how every chapter ended. It was great, which is a weird thing to say if you haven't read the book, but it just kind of prompted you to keep reading it. I almost binged it, so almost, because I had to do a vlog on it. Couldn't really binge it then, but I really wanted to. Like, if I hadn't done the vlog on it, I would have binged it so quickly. And then the debut is Only a Monster by Vanessa Lynn, which is also a YA fantasy, but it's an urban fantasy, but it's also historical fiction because there's time traveling in it. It's wrapped up nicely in one book, but there is a sequel and a third book coming out as well, and I was really positively surprised by this one. The writing felt kind of, is mature the wrong word to use? Like, it felt like she had had a lot of practice writing, which is not something that I experience very often when reading debut authors, but it didn't feel like her first book. And props to her for that, because sometimes I feel like some of the debuts that I've read have been a little bit choppy, but that one was really nice. It had a nice flow to it, the characters were great, the explanations worked, and I would recommend it. Looking forward to the sequel coming out so much. I forgot what it's called, but it's coming out in January next year. So we have newest fictional crush. I got two to mention. I actually had to go through my list because I've been reading a lot of YA apparently, and I feel weird talking about 17-year-olds as crushes. I don't know. So I'm not gonna no. But also, first book, the last book that I finished. Yeah, the last book that I finished was The Cruel Prince. Cardan is, first of all, he's 17, but also arrogant. So I don't think I would mention him anyway, but it was like, I was going through my list like, should I mention Cardan? Wait, no, he's 17. No, ew. But also no. Like, he's very arrogant. It's fun to read about, but like, I don't think I'd like him in person. And it was just gonna be so ironic because these next two characters are not necessarily super not arrogant. But Ivan Lukov from Lukov with Love is a marshmallow. He is awesome. The attention to detail, this is weird. Okay. Just adore him. He's great. It's the whole like, oh gosh, can I even say this without spoiling the book? Skip ahead like 20 seconds if you haven't read the book, but it's the whole like, I have liked you for so long, loved you for so long. I just a sucker for that, okay. And then we have Hawk Flynn, who was like appropriately arrogant, still nice, does not bully, will take a dagger in the heart for you. Not that I plan on stabbing anyone, but just in case, yeah. I don't know if I got anything else to say about him, but I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. He's a man written by a woman. What's better than that? And then the next question is newest favorite character. Speaking of The Cruel Prince, love Jude. She's great. Like, she's really... you can probably see a theme with the characters because the other one is Spencer from Skyward. I just love, like, strong, independent women in my books. I love when they just take on a task and then don't ask for help and just do it. I love that. Okay, I will say Spencer does get some help from one of her friends with something in the book, but if you read the book, you would understand what I mean still, because she's definitely very, very independent. She's very like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get this done. Jude is a little bit, when it comes to certain things, I would say she definitely should question it more. She's a little bit naive, but she's still like, I'm gonna take this on. This is my task. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna freaking get this done. And I respect that in my female characters. So those two recently have made a good impression on me. Oh, by the way, I had Cruel Prince line right here. Sorry, forgot to lift it. She's lovely still, so here you go. We have 4 more questions. Next up is book that made you cry. A book that made me cry. I actually had to go through my list because I don't think I've read any books that have made me full on cry. There was a moment in The Cruel Prince, which I wouldn't say it's because of sadness. No, I don't really want to talk about it, but there was a scene that was so bad for Jude. It's a bully romance, just feel like, or bully fantasy romance. As someone who was bullied in school, I was starting to get flashbacks and I just had to take a moment. So I won't necessarily count that, but as for like sad moments, Kingdom of Ash. And I still, if I think about it too much, I will tear up. So I'm not gonna spoil anything, but my gosh, and just finishing this series also kind of just made me like, I don't know what to do with my life now, which is very sad in itself. So, but yeah, Kingdom of Ash, most definitely. Other than those two, I don't really know. I think Aristotle and Dante had a moment where I teared up a little bit. I don't remember if Reminders of Him did. No. Was it All Your Perfects? No. Yeah, I don't think I've read any other books that have full on made me cry or tear up. I don't shed tears, I just get wet eyes. It's a thing, it's fine. And a book that made me happy, so I'm gonna mention Heartstopper again because you guys need to read it. Cute, fluffy. Well, it's not that fluffy, but like fluffy in a good way, in like a cozy kind of way. Just all the happy vibes. Go read it. You probably have, but go read it again then. And then second last question, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or have received. And I got a couple of special editions right here. And I just want to show you guys Daughter of the Moon Goddess again. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It came out, or they put it in the February box, I think it was. And she has been worshipped in my office basically. Every time someone comes to my office to have a look, she draws them in. So it's mainly because of the edges. And just the color combination. It's like lavender pink, like a soft blush kind of pink with the rose gold as well. The color combination is so good, but the edges are stunning. Absolutely stunning. I'm looking forward to the sequel as well, even though if I haven't read this when Fairy Loot does the sequel sale, I'm still gonna get the sequel. I want the set now, so they're gonna look so beautiful next to each other. And last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? All of them. No. I need to, my goal is to read all of them, but I'm not gonna be able to do that. So let's limit ourselves a little bit. One of the 12 books that was recommended by you that I had to read in 2022 is Dune by Frank Herbert. And I'm gonna be reading this month actually. So the other books that I have on that list are easily doable for me. This is the only one that I'm really nervous about. So I will be reading this. I need to read this before 2022 is over, but it's adult sci-fi. It's a bit on the older side. It's not old. I think it's from the 90s. When's it from? Wait, it's from 1965? Wow. Why did I think it was from the 90s? Somehow in my head I was like, sci-fi is not that old. But also I know that Frankenstein is technically the first sci-fi book. And that's old. So, you know, I made a mistake. I'm gonna keep it in the video. Rosa thought Dune was from the 90s. No, anyway, another book is Chain of Gold. Yes, Chain of Gold. I can never remember if it's Chain of Iron or Chain of Gold first, but I need to read both this and also Chain of Gold before the year is over, which means I also need to read Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness as well, because I want to read that trilogy before going into this one actually. But Chain of Thorns is coming out, I think it's in January, so I feel like it's pretty important for me to read this before that is released. Also because I want the matching version, so I have to pre-order it. But love Shadowhunters, love Cassandra Clare's characters. I have read the Mortal Instruments and also the Infernal Devices. Love them to bits. This universe is great, so I'm looking forward to it. And the last one is one that I've had on 2 different TBRs, yet I've still not read it. And I'm disappointed with myself, okay. It's Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Moira. If anybody knows how to pronounce their last name, please let me know because I've no idea. None. No clue. But I got this for my birthday at the start of the year. I've been told to read it because it's amazing. I've been wanting to read it because I've heard that it's amazing, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. I don't know why. Because I'm super excited to be reading this. So I need to read it before 2022 is over. I feel like I'm gonna love it. Like I can just, you know when you're just gonna love something? That's me in this book. So that's the last one. So yeah, I think that's my mid-year freakout tag video done. Jeez, that was a lot of books to talk about. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've read any of the books and you like them or dislike them, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and you want to stick around for more videos like this, but also bookish unboxings, TBR videos, reading wrap-ups, weekly vlogs, 24-hour readathons, and other stuff as well, consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the thumbs up. But that is all I got for you guys today, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!
Oh, you know